Okay, doing something a little different here. Turning off a fan. Okay, so I recorded a lot last night, and it went from a normal episode to like a shitty version of the Monday morning podcast to me to me understanding a little more about my new writing style, to me talking about my grandpa, which I don't talk about often. And so I might do longer episodes like this. I just figured I'd do a little intro to it. There are points in this, and I haven't even really re-listened to it, but from what I recorded last night, there's points that I feel like are awkward and I don't like. But I'm also working on not caring as much about people's perception of me when I do things, which I know is inherently contradictory by me trying to explain this, but whatever, baby steps, fuck you. And so if you fuck me, but words, you know. Basically, this is a longer episode than normal. I might start doing these a little more. And if you listen to this and you feel like you know like one person, if you know one person that you think would relate, enjoy, get something out of this, be entertained, maybe because you're bored, please share it to them. It helps my hopeful career in the future. And hope you guys enjoyed this surprisingly deeper dive into me. And I think that's about it. April 21st, 2020, doesn't matter what day it is. It's been, I go through like these ups and downs, and like everyone does, obviously. Where part of me, like I'll go through an up and I'll be like, man, this quarantine's awesome. I'm doing well. I actually said that today at doing Night Guy and Baldy with Will. And hold up. Okay, yeah, Night Guy and Baldy was like, yeah. I was just, at the time, I was just like, I was on an up. I was feeling good, I was feeling relaxed. And then at some point, like midday, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3, that up went to a down. And there's this feeling of like boredom and restlessness and loneliness. But it's all good. I'll go through an up again. I'll go through a down again. It just is what it is. I think if I were to listen back on the old, like the early episodes, like episode like 33, there were points where I was sounding like I remember Stephen Roth was listening consistently and was concerned for me. He was like concerned for my mental health. He was like, hey man, you doing okay? Like when I would have episodes, even when I wasn't in a bad mood, he'd be concerned. So I don't think I sound like that, which is nice, you know, progress. And I've been thinking more about what I'm going to do, what I'm going to be writing about, what I'm going to be talking about when I get back on stage. And I think I talked about this on Night Guy and Baldy too, but I'm sure I'll flesh it out without William Henderson's stupid opinions getting in the way. I'm not going to completely throw away every piece of my baby in the dumpster. Probably keep an arm and a leg, maybe like the torso. What I mean by that is some of the stuff I'm going to keep, like the black shit, I'm going to probably keep. There was other thought. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm going all over the place. Whatever. I don't have shit to do. And if you listen to this, you probably also don't have shit to do. I was thinking more about Patrice and Dave and like what they're doing that seems to work, and they're talking about stuff that they care about. Now, obviously, with my old material, I was also talking about stuff that I cared about. You know, I wasn't like talking about airplane food and goofy ass shit like that. I don't think that I was going hacky with it. I think it was very unique to me, but it was what I cared about. Hold up. Okay. So yeah, obviously they're talking about, God damn it, I don't remember where I'm at. They were talking about the stuff that they give a shit about. And so was I. I was talking about things I cared about, but it was with a different lens. And I don't really know how to describe that lens yet. I think I just need more time to marinate on it. But at this point, I would say that the lens has shifted. The way I look at the world, literally the way I look at the world has shifted. Like right now, you know, like I said before, if you're listening consistently, I'm working on being in one and well, for first person. I'm literally doing that right now, and it shifts the way I look at the world. So I want to adapt to that new mental and emotional and visual shift or whatever. And that nostalgia that I was looking at the past and then bringing it into the present, I just don't feel the need to do anymore. I think, I've said this before, but this quarantine and this virus shifted stuff so much that I can't, it's just not the same. It's not the same context. So I was thinking about like the stuff I have a tendency to talk about on the podcast. That's other than comedy itself, you know, I talk about the black shit still, I think. And I talk about comedy. I was talking to Will about this, about like, maybe it would be cool if I started writing about stand-up comedy, and not in like an analytical way. Like I'm not gonna get on stage with a PowerPoint and one of those little red clicker buttons and show people like, here's a setup and punchline. I'm not gonna do all that shit, but talk about my passion about it. Talk about why I give a shit about it, why I enjoy it. And you know, I don't want to be writing jokes right now. I don't want to fall back into that, because when I start, I don't stop. I think I have a blessing and a curse when it comes to that. Like if I have an idea, I think it's good that I will just start doing it without question, but I'll take it way out of proportion. Maybe that's some sort of addictive personality thing, I don't know, but I think when I have an idea, I think I'm gonna write it down in a new notebook and then leave it. Just write down the premise and then leave the premise. And then I'll just come back to it later. But yeah, one of the things I was thinking about, like I love comedy. It makes me so happy. I don't think I'd be alive if it wasn't for stand-up comedy. I surely would have killed myself a long time ago if it wasn't for even the idea, like even before I was doing it consistently, the idea of it and the desire to do it is what kind of kept me going even when I wasn't actually following through. So I in many ways, I owe my life to stand-up comedy. And so I think it would be cool to talk about that on stage. And I don't know how it would come off if I talked about Dave or Patrice in the same way. Now, obviously, I wouldn't do it the same way I do. This is like dour and probably boring to the 20 people listen. Yeah, you know what? That was another thing. So I'm still working on this whole not give a fuck, but this 100% comfort in myself and self-confidence and your own voice, all that good shit, all that psychiatry shit, all that The Secret shit. And I think one of the other issues I've been having is like, I have this fucking thing in my head where I'm like, well, if I advertise myself, it's going to come off as douchey, or people are going to think like I don't know, like trying to manipulate them in some way, which I guess technically I am. Like I want, you know, if you want fans, if you want an audience, if you want listeners, clicks, likes, subscribers, other descriptions, if you want that, you obviously have to advertise yourself and you have to put yourself out there. But there's something I've always kind of felt gross about it. Like I associate it with like Logan Paul and shit, like those type of guys that they'll make YouTube videos and then 15 times throughout the video they'll be like, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I don't want to be that. But at the same time, I also need to advertise myself. I need to put myself out there. And I think that I take things way too far in the extremes. Like there's a balance there. I can advertise myself. I can tell people to like something or share something without it feeling douchey. It's just a matter of how I feel about it. I need to step out of this headspace where I assume people's assumptions about what I'm saying. Did that make sense? Was that inception of assumption? I'll say it again in case everyone's confused. When I say something, I say a sentence or a joke or I have an idea or whatever, I assume people will assume I have negative intent. And then I think through that assumption, I make assumption. What am I saying? What am I saying right now? I think you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, what I want to work on that. And I think I think what it is, I just gotta like say the thing and then cross my fingers that people will understand the intent or understand what I'm getting at, and accepting when people do not understand, or if people misinterpret what I'm saying or what my intent is someone has a fucking Christmas tree up. That is sad and beautiful at the same time. I guess it's like, I don't know, I think that's weirder than still having your Christmas lights up. They don't even have their Christmas lights. They just have the Christmas tree up. And now I have more dogs. All right, hopefully I can get back on track here. Yeah. So like I'll say something and I'm not apologetic about what I say. Like I know what my intent is, and I think my intent is generally reasonable. I'm not apologetic about it. I'm explanatory. Is that a word? Explanatory? I don't know if I'm using that in the right context, but I don't apologize for what I say, but I definitely over-explain what I say. Like literally my whole stand-up, all of my material before this coronavirus stuff was me explaining like why I am the way I am, why I come off the way I come off. And I'm working so hard at just letting that go. And that's really hard. Oh, fuck, hold on. All right, Aaliyah saw a rabbit and decided, I need to kill that rabbit. That was the decision. Dogs are murderers. Dogs and cats, I feel like I live with an assassin, like something that is just waiting to kill anything that it can get its fucking jaws around. Like I think if I let go of Aaliyah at that moment, she would have chased that rabbit down, and I would have had like a stuffed rodent back at the garage. But anyway, the other things I was saying were words, and words is what I was saying. Just trying to let that go, but that's hard. Like that's years and years of being misunderstood and misinterpreted, and there's something about my personality where people feel very comfortable letting me know that they do not like me. So that's many years of that. So you know, damage and scars that we're working through. So yeah, I'm trying to work on that. And that with all of that being said, if you are one of those 20 people that I continue to gush about and thank, if there's somebody that you think would like this, relate to it, enjoy it, please share it to whoever you think would enjoy this. I want this to be my life. I want this to be how I live. I want this to be my career, and the only way to do that is advertise myself, and I think that word of mouth is going to be the key. So if you're listening, please share it with one person that you think would enjoy it. All right, enough of my shitty advertisement. What I'm going to write about. So yeah, I just want to write about the shit that I care about. Like I'm trying to let go of that structure a little bit. Again, with the balance thing. I think I've if you've listened to this, all of them, you know that I definitely understand structure in comedy and writing. I get it. Now it's a matter of understanding myself and then implementing myself and having fun with it and playing with it. And I think I'm finally getting there. Like I have more fun in general, and I don't know if that's because I'm not going to work every day. That could be part of it. I'm very relaxed. I'm thinking, I don't think anybody ever has talked about stand-up comedy in their stand-up comedy. I think that is a unique idea. And again, not in the analytical way, but the just enjoying, like I don't know. Okay, so one of the things I would say, like on the street, when I got tired of doing my jokes, I would say to people, like, I love stand-up comedy because it's rough and it's raw and it's rugged. It is like no other art form. Like you can't go to a ballet recital and yell at the girl in the tutu. You can't go out there and be like, hey, your plie fucking sucks. Like you can't do that. But in stand-up comedy, if you don't like what I say, I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, but you can yell out that you hate me, that you want me to die, which is probably way worse than whatever I just said as a joke. And I like that. I like that about hold on. Yeah, I like that. I like the visceralness and the honesty and the awkwardness that comes with comedy. When a joke bombs or when a joke fails, it just fucking fails. I'm sure you know by listening to this podcast. The jokes fail all the goddamn time, I'm sure. But that's part of it, and that's really cool to me. And it's cool how stripped down stand-up is, how it's just you, a mic, your ideas, and an audience. And that's all it is. I love all of that. So I want to see if I can present that on stage. So I'll probably write some premises for that, which will be cool. What else do I want to talk about on stage when all this is done? I'm still definitely going to talk about race. I think a good deal of that black material should stick around. Oh, that was the other thing I was thinking. I'm gonna change not the thought. I mean, obviously I'm changing the thought process, but like what I was doing was I had a structure and then I was filling in the gaps. I had this narrative structure. I knew start to finish where this was gonna go, and I think I'm gonna not reverse it, but I think the mentality I'm gonna take is like, all right, well, this is stand-up comedy. I love stand-up comedy. I'm going to talk about that shit and see where it takes me. And I think it's going to make a more natural feeling performance, and it's going to make it feel more off the top, more flowing, a little less scripted, which I know Will bitches at me about all the time. So here comes another hill. And that's kind of where I'm at with all of it. And for being honest, that down, that low that I'm experiencing is probably because of lack of human connection, which is so fucking sad to say. This is super dystopian. It is wild. But I don't really have anything else to say about my comedy. I have no points that I'm really trying to make, but it is nice to just fucking talk to somebody. That sounded so sad. Ugh, you'd think I was like Tom Hanks in Castaway talking to Wilson. But oh shit. You know when you walk around suburbs and there's American flags everywhere? If you live in my suburb, there's American flags everywhere. Like with real poles, like those classic military or like school poles. There's I'm walking past one that I think is, what is that? That's red, green, white. I think that's the Mexican flag. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, that's the Mexican flag. That's a ballsy move. And no, I mean, they're mixing it with the American flag, so people probably don't bother them. Yeah, I don't know. I might just start rambling just to hear myself talk for no reason. Do introverts like to hear themselves talk? Like as an extrovert, there's something like about the sound of your own voice that is tantalizing, that just feels good to listen to. It's like when you fart and there's no problem, you have no problem with the smell of your own farts. It's the same way. This is just me farting out of my mouth into this recorder. Oh, there's another American flag. Is it classic American flag or is it Blue Lives Matter American flag? I'm pretty sure we got another Blue Lives Matter American flag. I'm also going to count all of the American flags that I walk by, just so that people understand like what I'm talking about. The amount of American flag. I could start a whole police force with each American flag. But introverts, yeah, do you guys enjoy hearing yourselves talk? Like when you guys are alone, being hermits, what do you guys read? I don't know what introverts do. I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous of you introverts. If you're an introvert listening, I'm jealous of you that you don't feel the need to grab a recording device and just throw your thoughts out into the universe and hope that people enjoy it. Like, I think introverts have way more self-confidence than an extrovert does. Or not an extrovert, I'll say an extrovert like me. Like someone who feels this has this burning urge to say things to people. I feel like you guys, I don't know, I don't like, you know when you're in a situation where there's a lot of people around, like at a party or a bar or something, and there's the people that are talking, there's the charismatic one, there's the Robert Downey Jr. of the situation who's talking, he's got this silver tongue, everyone likes to listen to him and laugh, and then you got that dude that's just kind of quiet in the corner. That's the dude you should watch out for. Partly because, you know, they might murder you. They might end up on the news with like 15 different bodies chopped up in their basement somewhere in Milwaukee. Like, you got to watch out for that guy. But in this, in a positive twist to that, that guy also is probably really smart. I think people that sit around and just listen to people like me fucking yammer over and over again, I think those people are smart because they're taking in more information. Like, there's a movie that said that, something about, like, when you're talking, you can't listen while you talk. People who are quiet probably listen very, very well. And I'm still looking for an RV. If you don't know, for those of you, the uninitiated to the ACMM, you need to get on the train, son. Get on the Colt, go hang out in the bunker and drink the Kool-Aid with me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm trying to get an RV. I'm tired of rent. Fuck paying rent in California. It's like paying a mortgage, except you're not gonna own anything at the end of it. The amount of rent I have paid, I could have bought like 4 different RVs the past couple of years. So yeah, now that I'm not paying rent, I'm staying with my grandma in the garage at the moment, so I can save up, kind of. I lost my job, but Postmates got me. I've been enjoying Postmates, man. It's been awesome. Like, there's a little piece of me that wants to just quit being an interpreter and not do the behavioral health therapy stuff and just Postmates. Just drive to Del Taco and bring fucking nasty American churros to some fat dude down the street. It's awesome. I make $5 that way. If it wasn't for like how little amount of money it makes, I would 100% do that instead of utilizing my degree. I don't know how to describe it to you when you've spent 5 years, way more than 5. You've spent your entire life in the education system and you've been miserable the whole way through because you're not good at it. Like, this type of personality is not good for public education. It is disruptive and obnoxious, as I'm sure every single student that was in class with me would feel. But going from school and then 5 more years of college and working hard, and then getting more degrees, getting all this bullshit, learning another language, doing all of that stuff, and then something like this happens and it's all fucking ripped away from you. I think it puts like jobs into perspective and how frivolous and how like little, not your employer. Actually, I have a good deal of respect for the employers, or my boss, the person that hired me to be an interpreter. And I'm not just saying that just in case he listens to this. Phil, thank you. If you ever listen to this, thank you for hiring me. You didn't have to, and honestly, I'm surprised you did. I know my interview was dog shit. Yo, my interview, I won't even get into it. Anyway, fuck was I talking about wasting education? Yeah, man, like I'm way happier doing Postmates than I am doing behavioral health or being an interpreter because I don't have a boss. It's nice. I can wear a wife beater. I went to work today with a bandana around my head, not around my face. I have those masks now. I went into work with a bandana around my head. Those, like, the only people that can go to work with bandanas around their head are mechanics and fucking gangsters, drug dealers on MLK Boulevard selling, what do drug dealers sell? Do people even sell drugs on the street anymore? I feel like drugs are all just bought through the dark web, like drugs like that, or maybe like nightclubs. Either way, it's relaxed, like it's casual and it's chill, and I can just do whatever I want. I can hang out, listen to music, just drive around, windows down. It's sick, man. Like, with a regular job of any kind, I'm just not one of those people. Not one of those people who can do a regular job, who can sit and, oh shit. I just got drive-by barked at. Throw up some gang signs on that dog. Fuck was I saying? I can't, hold up. I got a little dog walking towards me that I'm sure is gonna be loud as fuck, so give me a second. All right, I've been walking for a while. I don't think these people are walking towards me. I think they're walking away, so I'll just slow down and not have an issue. Did you need to know that information? No, but I'm painting a visual picture so you can close your eyes. We'll do this old school 50s radio style. Close your eyes, listen to me paint the picture. I was watching those bloopers. You know blooper reels? Of course you do. You've seen movies. You know, the best blooper reels were Jackie Chan blooper reels for like Rush Hour, watching Jackie Chan fuck up a stunt. So fucking cool. But I was watching blooper reels of like actors from the 30s and the 40s. And you know that like the way they spoke in those movies, like, I love you. That's not a good way. That's not a good impression. But you know what I'm saying. There's like, the Dane, see? Like that is, yeah, I'm not Jay Farrow. I'm never gonna be that guy. But when they break character, they just sound like normal people from like 1993. Like they just sound like regular people, which is fascinating to me. That they would make that weird acting voice up. Anyway, I'm thinking about getting buff. I think that'd be kind of cool to leave quarantine and come back out like I just came from prison. I guess this is kind of like, I cannot compare what we're experiencing, right? I'm walking outside in a beautiful suburb with nice weather. Like I'm passing 2-story houses. I'm not in prison, obviously. None of us are. But like house arrest, or I don't think you could do this in house arrest. We're in like a house arrest adjacent right now. And you know, what better time to get buff than when you're in house arrest, when you're in jail. I've been doing body weight exercise just for like general health purposes. And I'm thinking like, you know, it'd be cool to come out of this and go back to the next mic shirtless, but like the opposite of Bert Kreischer. Like I want people to be embarrassed when I take my shirt off. That'd be kind of sick. I think I can build muscle pretty easily, but then it also goes away easily. I think it has something to do with my metabolism. Is this entertaining to anybody? I'm 25 minutes in. If everybody has not signed off yet, I am impressed by how bored you must be right now. I'm thinking maybe this would be a good idea. Like I was really, part of the style of this podcast was inspired by Bill Burr and the MMA podcast. It would just be grunting and noises. No, it would be announcers would explain what's going on. Anyway, the Bill Burr Monday morning podcast. Yeah, that was a big inspiration for this podcast, and I think that it was, it was cool that I was doing it in small chunks. Like I think when I have very specific things to say, I'll probably make small chunk videos, and then when I get bored or when I desperately need human interaction, I'll probably do long rambly videos or recordings like this. And maybe I'll even get better at being funny. Wouldn't that be nice? Fuck, you know what's crazy? Okay, so if you've been listening consistently, if you're still listening to this fucking thing, that whole first person thing, I was not in first person a good chunk of these recordings, and I am in it now. Those videos, recordings like this, and maybe I'll even get better at being funny. Wouldn't that be nice? Fuck, you know what's crazy? Okay, so if you've been listening consistently, if you're still listening to this fucking thing, that whole first person thing, I was not in first person a good chunk of these recordings, and I am in it now, right now, this very moment I'm in it. And it's weird, like I know people, from what I can tell, people can't tell the difference when I'm like present or when I'm not, but I can mentally. I think I'm gonna need to figure out something with that, I don't know. All right, I had to take a second. I'm probably gonna have to take another, not even a second, a while. I'm probably gonna have to take another like breather. I get frustrated with this shit. It's super frustrating it's like a goddamn surfer. Super frustrating, bro. No, like it's really frustrating when you're trying to, like when you're working on something and then it fucks up. And it's like I'm juggling this mental game of juggling what I'm saying to you, kind of making it at least mildly interesting, kind of playing the game, mixed with staying focused and present, and then letting my mind like go a little bit and letting it kind of explore. It's frustrating, and I think when it comes to the riffing and just talking and being entertained, God damn it. Would you believe this many people have dogs out here? What the fuck? Anyway, just breathe, man. Just breathe, Aaron. Just chill. It's not that big of a deal, man. Yeah, it's frustrating, and it's hard to do all of these things at the same time. So I guess I should keep practicing this. I should keep practicing just the rambling. Monday morning podcast. That's where all this came from. Yeah, the Monday morning podcast. Like, first off, I think Bill Burr started that podcast when he was at least minimum 10 years into comedy, but probably 15 to 20. I'm gonna look it up. Okay, so I looked it up. Apparently he started the Monday morning podcast in 2007. So he's been doing just that style podcast for a very long time. And he's been doing comedy for even longer. So he's good at that. He's good at just talking and making it keep going and be interesting and entertaining and funny. He's really fucking good at that and inspiring in a lot of ways. He's been doing podcasting and stand-up longer than I've just been doing stand-up. So it's one of those things where I can't expect it to be at that level. And it's not going to be at that level for a long time, and that is so daunting to think about. But baby steps, I guess. So this will be my practice. I'll probably do these more since I have the time to do it, these ramble recordings, which I'm sure is going to make people not want to listen. They're going to see the runtime. They'll be like, oh, that's one of his rambly things where he gets frustrated at dogs for no reason. I think stand-up is also one of the other reasons why I love stand-up is that I think it's brave to do. I don't think we're heroes. I don't like it when comics are like, we're doing a service for people. No, we're not. I don't think we are. I think we're just out there trying to be entertaining and make money and all that and express ourselves. I think it's a really selfish art form. But if someone gets something out of it, they get something out of it. But I think it's a brave art form in how embarrassing it is, and knowing objectively. Like, I'm gonna look back on this recording. Eventually, I'm gonna listen to this. I'm gonna look back on it. And I'm gonna be like, well, this was fucking stupid. Why did you record this? You weren't funny. You weren't interesting. You just sounded angry. You sound angry right now, Aaron. All right, sound less angry. More dogs. Fuck. I know I'm gonna look back on this with a raw embarrassment, but I think there's a bravery in that, most people aren't willing to do it, and so, fuck it. I don't have anything to lose. It doesn't fucking matter to me. I'm living in a garage. I almost moved into this shed, which I think would have been an upgrade, and then my family got mad at me, so I had to move back into the garage. So I don't have shit to lose. I just wanted to be a comedian. And you gotta take big swings and take big misses. I am gonna take some time because I'm getting frustrated. I can feel myself getting frustrated again because I know I'm not in first person. I know what I'm saying is rambly and nonsensical, and it is just frustrating. So I'm gonna take a second, everybody. I'm gonna take a second. Gonna breathe. Gonna look at the night sky. Gonna pet Aaliyah. Gonna strangle any dog that starts barking when I walk past them. And then I'll feel better. I know I'm supposed to be taking my time to woo-saw and chill the fuck out. I just wanted to point out another American flag, Blue Lives Matter flag. Huge blue. Where do you get this? Amazon, obviously. Answer my own goddamn question. I think I'm good at riffing and talking and going off the cuff when I can bounce off people. That comes from years of improv, being improv in theater and film and being trained to yes and if someone says something, you bounce off of that. But when I'm just fucking talking, it doesn't sound, and I know it's just not funny. I'm well aware, but I gotta practice somehow, man. I gotta do something. So I think I might use this podcast partly to do these little comedy snippets, and then partly just to practice talking alone and being able to keep going without it getting weird or awkward or boring or sad, depressing or angry or just other negative emotions. And it's so it's a headache, man. I think this might, okay, so when day to day, when I'm trying to stay in first person, it's easy. It's really easy because like I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just existing. I'm not talking to anybody. But talking, there's something about like, especially alone into a microphone. There's something about like talking that throws it off. I'm. Hey man, that's the other. Okay, another American flag. That's the other thing. Okay. I'm gonna give up on even trying to make this funny or entertaining. I'm just gonna fucking talk. God damn it. There's another thing. That's the other thing was that. God damn it. Okay, like first of all, it actively hurts my head. Like I'm getting a headache from it, from trying to maintain and talk. And the other thing, God damn it. Okay, I remember another American flag. The other thing is, I think that's hard about doing this is I've always had an issue with trying to get people to understand what's going on in my head and my thought process. I think I put so much energy into this this analytical side of me because it's the only way I can articulate idea, and I don't even think I do it well. Like there's points where I can, like this first person metaphor is the best metaphor I can give you for what I'm viewing, what I'm seeing in the world, and it's not even 100% accurate. Like there's no shit. Sorry, there was a cop that just rolled through. That's different. Like there's no words. I don't think there's words I can use to describe to you what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing from my first person point of view. And that's also frustrating. And I think maybe as I get better at stand-up comedy, I think I'll be able to express these ideas a little better, but it's fucking hard. I don't know, I'm just frustrating myself. I think I'm gonna call it on this one. Or pause it, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to leave this podcast ending on a we'll see note. I feel like that's weird. That's like not even a good cliffhanger because it's not like the next episode's going to bring anything back. So I'm going to just end it here because I'm getting annoyed with myself. I'm getting annoyed with myself and is not helping the whole staying present and focused thing. So I'm going to just call it. I'm tapping out on this one. And I'll do another one. Maybe tonight later or maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But I gotta like recalibrate and get back into like a focused headspace. So, all right. Hope everyone's doing well. April 21st, 2020, same day as whatever the last episode was, which I'm sure ended on a negative note. So I chilled out, stopped worrying about whatever the fuck I was worrying about, I don't even remember. And I watched Duncan Trussell's new show on Netflix. I think it's called Midnight Marauder on some Tribe Called Quest shit. The Midnight Gospel. And I gotta say I really enjoyed it. I watched the third episode for context. Basically the show is weird. You should just watch it. But I decided that maybe, all right, I decided two things. Here are the decisions that I have made. All right, I decided that when I get frustrated, I definitely need to like walk away from whatever I'm frustrated with. I'm not the type of person who can get frustrated and keep pushing through and things get done. It's just not gonna work. So when I get frustrated, I'm gonna walk away. I'll find some sort of, I don't know, trigger I'll make for myself. That was the first thing I decided. Frustrated, walk away, make a trigger. Second thing I decided was, all right, I'm gonna say there's three things I decided. Second thing I decided was, I don't know how many people work on themselves out of boredom, but I think it's still good, right? Like if you're just bored and you're like, you know what? I think I'll just better myself as a person. That's basically what people do in prison. They just get so bored that eventually there's nothing else. That's like the plot of Groundhog's Day. And Groundhog's Day has Bill Murray in it. And, you know, Bill Murray matters. Black lives matter. Blue lives matter. All lives matter. Bill Murray's lives matter. Anyway. All right. So the third thing is I decided to write down concepts. So instead of getting really specific and writing jokes, I'm just going to write concepts and then speak them in the microphone. And then if it doesn't embarrass me too much, I'll post it. Here's some of the concepts I was writing. All right, so I have 2 pages here. I have spiritual concepts, and then I have love of stand-ups. So in spiritual concepts, I wrote, I think spirituality is really interesting, but I'm too lazy to read. So I make up ideas in my head, and I just kind of go with that. Like in my head, if it makes sense that a dude named Jesus like walked on water and was like really cool and hung out with prostitutes, then, you know, that works. Yep. This is work in progress. And then the other thing I wrote was messed up people need spirituality to like cope with things. So can you just fucking let us have it? Like I get frustrated when I talk with atheists because there's always this sense of like, well, science says this, and I have proofs and facts and figures and numbers and paper, and you're a fucking idiot for believing in things that make you feel warm inside. It's like, yes, I know my beliefs could be considered crazy or cultish or stupid or insane or dumb or ignorant or gullible or other adjectives. Like, I realize that. But can you just fucking let me like, I'm tired. My mom didn't say I love you until college, and that was in an email. Like, can you just let me have the big magical guy in the sky that makes me feel better about my inevitable demise? Can you let me have that, please? Can you not be a dick? I don't know what pleasure you take in ruining, like, that's such a strange thing to like take pleasure in trying to ruin someone's faith. Like, if I'm not like, oh, you don't believe the same God as me? Time to cut your head off. Like, if I don't do shit like that, can you just let me have my thing? You know what I mean? Like, when kids have to learn about Santa not being real, you don't go over to them and say, hey, kid, you remember how, like, for 8 years we told you that there was a magical fat man that would climb down the chimney every year and give you presents if you were good? That was a lie. And you watch that kid just start weeping, and you revel, and you grab like a shot glass and you put it under their cheeks and you let it drizzle down. You can take a shot of their tears. You fucking sociopath. Just let us have it. Just let us be weird. Just let me wear tie-dye and it'd be okay. That was the type of shit that I was thinking. If you watch Midnight Gospel, you'll know what I mean. And with this whole concept, this is something that I actually believe. This is something I care about. And there's no purpose. It's just a thought. I think that's the direction to go into. The direction seems to be like, you know, just what am I thinking? Probably not trying to overthink. I think it's a little more fun. It's a little more playful. It has there's like a flow to it. I don't know if any of that was funny. I don't know if I'll post it, but whatever. Then, all right, love of stand-up. So I love stand-up. Oh, okay. So what I wrote was I love stand-up because it's the most masculine art form of all time. Like, no one heckles ballet dancers. No one heckles ballet dancers. People can get stabbed doing stand-up comedy. Can you just take a second to really take that in? There's no other, maybe punk rock, all right, music and stand-up. Maybe poetry if you're like a really shitty poet. But like, generally speaking, comedians are the only people that like, I don't know, what we do is, Yeah, this is a weird idea, but like what we do is weird, right? Like just standing in front of I'm not holding a tuba. I don't have sequins on. There's nothing about me that is being presented as entertaining. I'm just trying to entertain you just with my thoughts on things, like with what I'm thinking about. That's mental magic. That's weird. I think this podcast, if I keep doing this, if I start ending up writing like this, I think this podcast is going to become the ramblings of an insane person. This is going to go from a journal to a manifesto if I keep writing like this. But whatever. I get the vibe. I get the feeling that like there's a flow to it. Okay. All right, here's how my brain works. And this is why I'm tired all the time. So as I was doing all of this, I was thinking to myself, yeah, you know what? I really like this. And then I was thinking to myself, you're recording this and then you're going to post it and then people are going to listen to it and think, man, that's stupid. And then I was thinking to myself, yeah, but you were just in this headspace of not even thinking about, like, that wasn't even a concern. So clearly you have the capacity to get in that headspace and now you have to stay in that headspace. So I'm proud of figuring that out. And then I was thinking, I should say that on the podcast, but that inherently defeats the purpose of not caring. Like me talking about it within the podcast you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. But I like the idea of this. This is actually kind of fun. Like this way of writing feels more free. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna add this to every single one of these now because I need to do this. If you like what I do, if you're enjoying this, and you know anybody that you think also would enjoy this, please share it with them. Would be greatly appreciated. It would help me out a lot, and it would move me towards my dreams and aspirations. Thank you. All right, I'm just gonna keep going and then edit this together on the computer because I got nothing better to do. So I decided to actually write this joke. Like I really had the natural compulsion to write the joke. I wanted to write it down. It felt like fun. Holy shit. How do you make something as funny and as lighthearted as stand-up comedy into homework? I've turned this into homework with my little binder and my syllabus at the beginning of the year. Jesus. All right. So I did the whole thing about spirituality, yada, yada, yada. One of these jokes I've actually written before, and then I just kind of added something else to it. So spoilers to my jokes, potentially, but whatever. I don't give a shit. All right. So I call myself a Christian, and a lot of people don't believe me when I say that because of how much ass I eat. Like if I'm, so look, if you don't think I'm a Christian because of my behavior or whatever, if I'm not a Christian, I think people would at least consider me spiritual. And I know that that's a cop-out when people say spiritual. That's like saying you're a Tarantino fan, but you've only seen Pulp Fiction. Ooh, I didn't like the tone, Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction. That didn't sound right. But you get the idea. All right, so then, as I was writing, I wrote a tag for it. And the tag was, if you don't know the bride's name in Kill Bill, you can't call yourself a Tarantino fan. And I said that, and I read it out loud, and I was like, that's just nerd douchebaggery. That's just throwing out references. That's not like an actual joke, so I crossed it out. And I'm going to have to add more to it. As I was about to write, though, I could feel myself getting whoa, shit. I could feel myself getting frustrated. Like, as I was writing this, I was like, Tarantino, hey, Pulp Fiction. It's a reference to me. That sounds like my voice. It's nice in general. Like, most people have seen Pulp Fiction. If you haven't, you're a piece of shit. And I don't like you anymore. And I'm disgusted by you. But for real, go check out Pulp Fiction. It's on Netflix. It's really good. But yeah, so I started to feel myself get frustrated. So I think I'm gonna close the notebook and leave it at that. I got a little piece. And I think part of what I was doing wrong was rushing. Like there's this rushing mentality that I still have, even though the world's completely stopped. It's like when I get started, it starts up quickly. I know I was saying that. I think I was saying that in the beginning of this podcast, the last one, that like if I'm gonna start doing something, I go all out with it, and it's a blessing and a curse. So I think I got to even that shit out a bit. So I'm gonna take a break, save this, and go from there. All right, so I had an epiphany. Okay, I have these every now and again. Every now and again, some little spark hits. All right, I don't really talk about my grandpa often on this, but a little bit about him. He was, and this is no offense to my actual dad if he ever listens to this. My dad's like, he's a cool dude. But my grandpa was definitely my biggest father figure growing up. And he passed away when I was like 14 or 15, I can't really remember. And my grandpa was like, I looked up to him so much. I actually haven't thought about that in a long time. I looked up to my grandpa so much. Like, I don't know, you know, any young man. See, this is some shit that I think that when it comes to feminism that I'm not a big fan of. And I would describe myself. No, fuck you. I'm not explaining myself. God damn it. You know what I believe. Or you can, I don't know. If you have a fucking problem with it, talk to me about it. Someone email in buddysystem@gmail.com if you want to have a fucking debate about my feelings. But this is my issue with feminism. Or I'm not gonna say feminism. I'll say extremism in general, but extreme feminism is that like there's this aversion to masculinity, and there's this like not needless aggression, but it's just too fucking, it's too angry, and there's no taking in what the feeling is to masculinity and what that means to a young man who's learning how to be a man. You need some sort of guidance, and thank God that like I had him at least up till I was about 15, because fuck, you know, like I know I say a lot of negative stuff about my mom in particular, but I appreciate my mom, my grandma, and all the people in my life, all the females in my life that helped raise me. I do very much. I know I bitch a lot, but I do really appreciate them. But they're crazy, and I don't think that there's any excuse, not any excuse for that. But they're crazy. They're fucking crazy. I've been raised by a bunch of crazy ladies, and you need a balance. You need a strong masculine presence. You need, like, that's really fucking important for a young man to have growing up. I adamantly believe that. It's purely anecdotal from my experience, but it's my experience, and I'm asserting my feelings. Gosh darn it, conflab it. Whether you want to listen to my feelings or not, these are my feelings. Let me go. Look at me go. Somebody shoot off those, the party poppers? Party poppers? That's what they are. I remember those from elementary school. We weren't allowed to bring them in our school because they would get confetti everywhere, and then the teachers would get mad and make us clean it up. What the fuck was it talking about? Okay, my grandpa. Yes, a person that I looked up to very, very much. And he was a really hard worker. My family doesn't talk or explain much to me. So from what I know of how their lives were growing up, is they were the first black family during integration. They were one of the first black families to be integrated into one of the white neighborhoods, and they were getting death threats apparently, from what I hear, and like it just wasn't fun. It wasn't easy, and they worked really, really hard. My grandpa worked his fucking ass off to go from a not nice area to a nice not nice area. You know what I mean? Like he went from like dangerous because of just general crime to dangerous because everyone's focused on you. And he worked really fucking hard to get there. And my family has worked very, very hard for us to live in what is supposed to be a nice neighborhood. Hold up. Man, it's so weird living in the apocalypse. I'm at Del Taco. I'm going through a drive-thru just to be at a place, if I'm being honest. I just wanted to go somewhere. But what was I saying? I was saying words. They worked their asses off to put me in a nice area, in a nice place, in a place that has good education, all that stuff. But the trade-off to that nice area then becomes a completely different type of danger and a completely different type of struggle. And I don't know, man. I don't know how to put it into words. It is what it is, but it's fucking frustrating. Either way, I digress. What does digress mean? It means like that you're going off topic and you're coming back. I digress. I'm just going to keep using it wrong until someone corrects me. You want to know how you correct me? Email thebuddysystem@gmail.com. Email it if you want to correct me. I just want interaction. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so my grandpa, I look up to him. I looked up to him a good deal, and he was a really hard worker, and he worked, if I'm being really honest, he worked himself to death. He really like overstressed himself, and I remember before he got Alzheimer's, he did this trip. I'm trying to remember. All right, so he did a really long trip. He was driving something about selling T-shirts or something, and he was driving cross country, and he forgot something that he needed, and so he didn't sleep, and he drove all the way back. Like he drove, I think, to the East Coast and back without much sleep at all. And he just kind of overworked himself. That's what I gathered from everything. And, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I realize the work ethic can get unhealthy. And that's why I'm doing all of this. Is I think that's the other important thing about a boy having a cisgendered heterosexual, whatever dumb bullshit. Like that's what like a boy needs, is that masculine figure, partly to teach you things, like partly just to teach you about being a man, and then partly for the boy to learn the mistakes from whoever the older person is. Everyone makes mistakes, everyone's fucking up, but the next generation's supposed to see what the generation did before and improve upon it. It doesn't seem to be working right now. We seem to be going in circles, but I don't want to get political. This is about me and nobody else, because I am selfish according to every girl in my life.